Oh, damn. I mean, a straight right put Masvidal asleep. Did you see UFC? Did you see it Saturday night? I did. We'll talk about that. Plus, I don't know if you noticed, but New York Knicks, 9-game winning streak. Knicks and Nets. What would the Nets have to do with the Knicks winning 9 straight? I'll tell you. Also, draft week begins, NFL draft week. You know what time it is. Stephen A., Molly, Max, all in the house. First take the week is over, y'all. Let's roll.
It's now my honor to announce that the NFL draft is officially open.
My goal is to get in there, take care of business.
I'm going to give it everything I have because I only have one shot.
The question pops up in my head every day: how great can I be?
I'm ready to roll, and hopefully a team will take that opportunity with me.
With the first pick.
I'm at the
Good day! What's going on, everybody? Welcome into First Take from what? Wait for it? Yes, the band is back. Stephen A. Smith, Max Kellerman, and I'm Molly Cameron. Guys, let me just tell you this. This is what a loser I am. I've been doing this show for, almost 6 years now? It felt like the first day of school. I had my outfit picked out, I had my breakfast and lunch packed in a cooler, I kid you not, and I was awake at 3 a.m.
Yeah, it's
I
exciting.
was afraid I was going to oversleep.
Things are coming back.
It felt like the first day of school, honestly. I'm like, oh my gosh. How you doing, Stephen A? How's things in LA?
I'm doing wonderful. Hope y'all had a great weekend.
Yes, we did. And we got a lot to discuss. Obviously, it's draft week. We'll get into that. But first, some hoops. We need to talk about those Nets who were in action last night on our air right here on ESPN. It's like riding a bike. Just ask KD. Durant scoring 33 off the bench in 28 minutes of play in a 128-119 win over the Phoenix Suns, who have the second best record in the West. James Harden did not play. He's out indefinitely after experiencing a setback while rehabbing his right hamstring. A big win for Brooklyn. Stephen A., where do you stand on the Nets now, sir?
Oh, yes, I have a lot of stances that I'd like to take on the Brooklyn Nets. Mac, are you ready? Are you buckle up, Max Kellerman? Did you have your seatbelt on? Cliff, I got some things to say. First of all, Kyrie Irving is still a showstopper. He's still spectacular. Let's give him his props. KD coming off the bench, starting the second quarter, still ends up dropping 33 in 30 minutes. When healthy, I think he is that dude. Having said all of that, did you notice on the other side of town, in the city, Midtown Manhattan, Madison Square Garden, do you see people in absolute jubilation outside of Madison Square Garden? Because the New York Knicks are in the midst of a 9-game winning streak, a league-leading 9-game winning streak as they get set to play the Phoenix Suns tonight. Okay, did you notice that? And what would that have to do with the Brooklyn Nets? Well, I'll tell you what it has to do with the Brooklyn Nets. The Brooklyn Nets are the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference. They have one of the best records in basketball. They have a guy that I believe to be the best on the planet, if not top 2 on the planet, when he's completely healthy and an absolute showstopper in Kyrie Irving. And guess what? Barely anyone cares. Barely anyone cares in New York City compared to the Knicks, okay? Because the New York Knicks are the team that's buzzing. The New York Knicks are the one stealing headlines. Everybody is talking about the New York Knicks. So I got 2 things to say, Max Kellerman, as it pertains to that in regards to the Brooklyn Nets. Number 1, the Brooklyn Nets must go to the NBA Finals. If they don't get to the NBA Finals, the New York Knicks will be considered a better story just because they got to the playoffs. They will be the talk of the offseason. Everyone will be talking about the New York Knicks. The New York Knicks will confiscate headlines from the Brooklyn Nets. Not that they haven't done it already. They've already done it. But I'm just saying it will be indelibly imprinted that the New York Knicks are the story and the Brooklyn Nets are, whatever, they're good, but that's what people will say about them. That's number 1, which leads me to my second point, Max and Molly. I want to state for the record, whether they admit it or not, that if the New York Knicks are in the playoffs and the Brooklyn Nets don't win the chip, KD, Kevin Durant, and Kyrie Irving will regret the day they pass on becoming a New York Knick.
He thinks The Nets are
Stephen
in
A.
first
So we
place
just
in
gonna
the East.
we
and
just
just
gonna
stop
interrupt.
the Suns.
We just gonna interrupt.
Yes,
Right? We just gonna
because it's
interrupt.
time
Y'all
for
gonna
the
act like that, right? Y'all gonna act like a listen. Are you tired? Listen, you're back in New York.
Time's up.
Molly, you just started off the show admitting you haven't been in New York. You've been gone for a while.
You don't
So
need to tell me
but
where
that-
to say.
hold, Max, you don't get your turn is coming, but you don't get to sit up there and act like you know New York. You betrayed New York years ago. You departed. You left us.
Wrong.
You left us. So I'm just saying.
Well, yes, I've lived in LA for 6 years. Where are you right now?
Is this
Where are you right now? Where are you right now? So you should know. So you should know.
I'm filming General Hospital. I'm filming General Hospital.
Okay.
When does Brick get a love interest? That's what I want to know.
Yeah.
That is coming. I mean, I think that's
Well,
coming.
very good.
Oh,
I
good.
think that's coming. You know, just
Listen,
just
the
saying.
point is this. You should know out in Hollywood right now,
Yeah.
Hollywood Stephen A., you should know. In New York, the Knicks are a big, big story. Nationally, let me tell you where I stand on the Nets. The Knicks might even win a playoff series. I am very impressed. We'll get into the Knicks later in the show.
Sure.
Right now, let's talk about the Nets. You know what's going to happen? The Knicks could win a playoff series. A month later, the Nets will still be playing basketball. Knicks will be sitting home for a month. And when all of the attention of the world is focused on the NBA, it's going to be on the Nets. Let me tell you what the Nets are right now. The Nets are what the Warriors were. That's what they are. They're what the Warriors were. Stephen A., the Suns have like the best record in the NBA when you count the bubble. They were 8-0. Then they added Chris Paul. They have one of the best records this year. You look at the winning percentage since the bubble, even before Chris Paul. You add those 8 games, it's the best team in basketball, at least in the regular season over that time. And what happened? Kyrie lights it up, as always. KD comes off the bench. No James Harden, and they beat the Suns yesterday. They beat the Suns. They beat one of the best teams in basketball, arguably the best regular season team in basketball for like a year now, minus, I say, their most important player. This Nets team is so good that, you're right, locally, New York is so thirsty for the Knicks to be good. The Knicks will continue to be a big story, and I'm not going to rain on their parade or try to right now. 9 in a row is great. But you really think come deep in the playoffs, when no one's thought about or seen or heard from the Knicks in like a month, and the Nets are obliterating everything in their path, people be thinking about the Knicks?
You're missing it. I think that the nice crew cut that you got over the weekend is clogging your brain just a little bit there, Max Kellerman. Here's the deal. Look, haircut looks good, though. It's all right. I need one. Here's the deal, Max Kellerman. This is what you're missing. I am not trying to say that as the Nets go deep into the playoffs, Eastern Conference Finals, NBA Finals, because I picked them to win it all, okay? Now, I'm not saying that we're not talking about that. I'm saying if they don't win it all, Max Kellerman, the New York Knicks will be considered more of a success story than them. The offseason obviously will be dominated by that reality. And as a result, when you talk about the brand that is New York, the New York Knicks brand, Madison Square Garden, etc., all the aspirations that KD and Kyrie had, their shoe business and beyond, and how exponentially better it would be, it goes right out the window without the chip. Look, the New York Knicks have placed the Brooklyn Nets in a position where it's championship or failure. Because the New York Knicks
put them in that
have now
position.
elevated to relevancy. Okay? They have an MVP.
Hold on, Stephen A., hold on.
Stephen A's group chats.
Yeah.
Stephen A. and his boys.
Stephen A.
Y'all really think that? Because y'all not watching basketball if y'all really think that. And by the
Here's
way,
the
Molly,
bottom line.
We're teasing you. Would you relax? You're so sensitive about
Max
your
Kellerman, let me shut Mollywood down for a second here.
Okay.
I was watching this show with this great NBA analyst on Saturday.
Yeah,
that
my
was
husband?
absolutely positively raving about the New York Knicks. It would happen to be your husband.
Yeah.
All right, look.
Well, I believe it. They're a great JV team right now, and the Nets are varsity. They used to be freshmen, and now they're JV. Go ahead, Matt.
Right, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Your husband he's not wrong about that. Great basketball analyst. And you, as you correctly point out, Jalen Rose's mother invented a name that's like the most popular name in the world right now. It's a big deal. So I appreciate the shout out of Jalen. Right. I like his analysis too, Stephen A. Here's the bottom line. Do you remember, as a Yankees fan, you probably do, Tom Kelly, the Twins manager, after the first time he saw Rivera in a big situation, Mariano Rivera, the greatest pitcher ever, inning for inning. You know, remember what he said? He said they need a higher league for this guy. This kid is like, the major leagues is not a high enough league. By the end of the season, the Nets are healthy. And by the way, it's a hamstring that Harden has, right? And they're resting him. They're not taking any chances after he had a little setback.
They shouldn't.
By the end of
He
this
would play
season,
if he was healthy.
yeah, by the end of these playoffs, the Nets are going to need a higher league. The NBA is not a good enough league for a fully healthy Nets team. They're going to smoke everybody. I didn't start out saying that. I had to see how Harden and Kyrie played together. I had to see if KD could really come back from his injury as KD. But the results are in. Oh my God. When this team gets healthy, it's going to be the greatest offense in the history of American team sports.
That's fine.
There is no
But
resisting.
they better win the chip. And Molly, just stroll around. Now that you're completely vaccinated like Max and I, just stroll around the city. And Brooklyn's
It's
only
like
10 minutes
messing
away.
with you.
Brooklyn's
When are
only
you
10
gonna
minutes
realize
away.
that?
Brooklyn's
So
only
fun.
10 minutes away from you, Molly. Roll around the city, all 5 boroughs. You might find 5 people talking about the Nets. You might find 5.
And then leave the city and everyone's talking about them.
Speaking of